Hi, this is Laura Whitmore with the She Rocks podcast, and I am here with Ruby and Natalia from Bahari. We're here in New York City. It's a little gray out, but we're sitting in a really, really cool apartment chatting while they're on tour. So, hey guys.
Hey.
I'm so stoked to meet you and talk to you and talk about your music.
It's so great to meet you too. Thank you for coming all the way.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a hike. I'm like, where is this place? We can see the river, so we're
so
over on the
beautiful.
west side. It's not terrible.
It's gorgeous.
It's not terrible. You could do worse. But anyway, so share a little bit about what you're doing in New York, first of all.
We are here because we have a show in Brooklyn on the 21st of February, which is Friday. And we came a few days earlier because we wanted to just be in New York. We love it here so much. And we had a couple of meetings and stuff. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what, tell us about what you're playing, who you're playing with, what's happening with
We're on tour with ILLENIUM, who's one of our really close, friends and favorite artists that we look up to so much. So we're so excited. And we had rehearsals a few days ago and got to see her full, dress rehearsal show, and it's incredible.
It's insane.
So excited. So.
I live in Brooklyn. I might have to come out to the show.
You should come because everyone playing on this tour is just going to be so awesome. Mero's playing first, and then we're playing, and then Elle, and her show is just absolutely wild. It's so fun. I'm so excited to watch it every night. We get to just dance every night. It's going to be amazing.
That sounds cool. Really cool. So tell me a little bit about your origins. How did you guys meet up? How did you get into creating the music that you do?
We met at Rock Mafia, which is the studio that we still record at, and we're still signed there, and we're there pretty much still every single day making music. And we met when we were just teenagers. We became friends, and we were I was like, hey, can I sleep at your house? And then we were like, yeah. And then we wrote our first song, Wild Ones, on her dad's couch, and we brought it to the people that we work with, and we were like, we want to put this out together. And they were like, okay. And then we were like, we want to be called Bahari too. And they were like, okay. And then the rest is history. And now we're here.
Yeah.
It's really great when you find that creative partner that really sort of takes you, it's sort of like the sum of your parts is bigger than the individual elements, 100%.
We're so lucky to have somebody to relate to through all of this. And someone, even the other day, we were in an Uber and we accidentally told him our band name. So he starts bumping our music the whole way to the airport. If I was alone, I would have
6
been
o'clock in the morning,
mortified, but her and I are just dying laughing. It's so fun to have someone through every experience.
And it's nice to get to high five each other when something good happens. You know, I feel for so many artists, it's kind of a journey that you go on by yourself, even though there's your team and everyone around you, but it's just you on stage, but we have each other, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I even find I actually have a creative partner that I work with music on, and just having somebody to just bounce decisions off of is so nice.
It's so
nice.
You're
it's not all on you.
Especially with writing, we both write together, and we found such a good balance of writing with each other, such a good flow. And it's so easy now because we do literally everything together. Yeah. So there's no experience that we've gone through in the past 4 years that hasn't been together. So it's really nice to write about that, because we write about what we go through, and we have each other that's either been there through the whole thing or was a part of it. So that's really cool. Right.
So you can get into that headspace.
Yeah. And sometimes it's nice when sometimes it's hard to write about things that happen to you that are really personal. So it's nice to have someone else that can see it from a different perspective and give you different ideas.
Happened, and someone's let's write about this today. And you're like, I'm not ready. It's so nice to have someone else be like, yes, you are. This hurt you. Let's figure out how to make this into a positive.
Right. Yeah. And also to maybe step outside of that personal element that might be too personal for it to be sort of more broadly.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone can relate. Yeah, it's definitely been a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So tell me about the name Bahari and why you chose that.
Bahari means the ocean in Swahili, which is the language of Kenya, where I'm from. And so she was just asking me different words. I was teaching her Swahili. She didn't know any of the words in the language, and I was teaching her a couple of things. And she was like, "What's the ocean?" And then I was like, "Bahari." And we kind of looked at each other. We're like, "That's pretty cool."
We Were you looking out at the ocean while you were...
No, we were at the
That would have been
studio.
very poetic, I wish, if we had like a beautiful view
That's
of the
the
ocean.
news story.
Yeah.
Personally, I love the ocean.
So do we.
So do
Well,
we.
we grew up in like completely different parts of the world with completely different backgrounds, and our lives were so different. And that was one thing that like
We both
made
had
us
in
feel
common.
close to each other, because I grew up on an island on the beach and she grew up on the beach too. And so it was something that we both was such a big part of our lives. You know, growing up on an island, my whole life was on the ocean. It's like you can't get anywhere without jumping on a boat.
What about you, Natalia? Where are you from?
I was born in Nashville, and my mom was doing music back then, so we would go back and forth from Nashville to LA. Around 10, I like really started to do school in LA. I'm like, here, this is New York. I never know where I am. I'm the worst at that.
Natalia has no sense of direction.
I'm the worst. So I moved there and I just started acting, trying to do whatever I could. I just wanted to do music, and it's so hard, you know, it's hard to get there. So I was like, anything that would get me somewhere near a recording studio. So I just kept acting, and then I did this Disney thing for a second, and I kind of met the Rock Mafia through that. Didn't work out. Then I went back. She was there. I was just like, there you go.
It's just the right place, right time.
Right place, right time.
person.
You know,
we're
it's
just
not,
friends.
Yeah, and it's not often when you meet another girl that's exactly the same age as you with the same goals and aspirations and ideas and dreams and everything. Because I remember I moved to LA by myself when I was 15 years old, and everyone was like, "You're crazy." Wow. And I was like, well, I don't care because I want to do music and I can't do that where I am. And so to meet someone that had exactly the same feelings as me was like awesome. So we got to like just get really close over that. Other. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really great. I mean, I think sometimes too, like people have this desire, but they won't take that leap of faith.
Yeah,
like it's really. I mean, it's terrifying.
It's scary, and I'm so glad I was so young and naive, because I don't think I'd be able to do that now because I just kind of left everything and everyone, and I didn't know anyone in America, and I was just like, I'm going to do music, and that's what I'm going to do.
So you literally just like got on a plane and came to Los Angeles and said, I'll figure it out when I get there.
I was lucky enough to know this one couple that were movie producers that were family friends, and they let me stay in their like.
Okay, so you had a little bit of a safety net.
Yeah, they didn't live there though. They lived in London, but they let me stay in their house, and then through them I met the people at Rock Mafia, and then that's just how it happened. So I got really lucky, honestly. It was just old timing and luck just worked out.
Right. So Ruby, you play keyboards, right? And then you're a bass player.
And guitar,
and guitar. That's so cool.
Yeah, mainly bass.
How did you guys get into those instruments? Can you just share a little bit about
You go first.
I started playing piano in boarding school when I was a kid. I was just obsessed with music, and where I grew up, there were no pianos. And I remember like my friend was really good at the piano, and I would just ask if I could sit and listen, like when she was taking lessons and stuff. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. So then I had I don't know if you've seen the movie Amélie. It's a French movie, and there's a soundtrack to it, and it's just piano, like the entire soundtrack. And I had it on a tape, and I just listened to it over and over and over again. So I just sat down at a piano at my school and just taught myself like all of these songs. And then I just became obsessed and played like for hours every day. And that's it.
That was it. The muse found you. And
and I was just like, exactly. I was just like, piano's just so fun. I always just loved playing it for ages and hours, and I would just teach myself all of this stuff. Yeah.
And it's a great instrument for all kinds of accompaniment, but also like music creation.
Yeah, and it's so fun because I started playing like classical piano, like classical pieces, and then with Bahari and stuff, I was learning so much about, using MIDI controllers and keyboards and using different sounds and programming it. And that was a whole new thing to tackle. And it was so much fun because then we got to like,
fun with that on
we
our
had,
first
we
EP.
had a lot of fun.
Too much fun.
Too much fun. And we were like,
We're like, whoa.
What keyboard do you use?
I use two. I use the Akai, and then I have a Nord. And the Nord's my favorite because I can take it everywhere and it doesn't need to be like plugged into a computer or anything.
Right.
There's just so many sounds on it. You can mess around on it for hours.
Sort of self-contained.
It's like a spaceship.
It's so
it's
fun.
so
we
cool.
write a lot of songs just like sitting there with that thing.
I can get the keyboard. Let's go. How about you? Sure.
I grew up in a really musical family. And I just like always really wanted to do that. And my mom had me in piano lessons at like 3 years old. And I just didn't like it. I never liked anything that I didn't pick. That's just how I am. And so I didn't want to play that. And so it really helped, I think, with like my ear. So shout out to my mom. Thank you so much. But I just didn't like it. And so at like 8 years old, I was begging for a guitar and I got it for my birthday. And I wrote this song called Begging For Me because my boyfriend dumped me when I was 8 and I was really upset. And after that, I was like, okay, I put it on YouTube and I was like, this is what we're doing.
Oh my God, I want to see that.
It's deleted. It's gone. But I was like, oh man. And then when I started playing in Bahari, I just wanted to try something different. I wanted to feel more empowered with what I was playing when we were on stage. And I just loved bass. I loved it. I gravitated towards it and I just never put it down.
I think people don't understand how creative you can be with bass.
Oh yeah, it's one of the most important instruments.
Like misunderstood.
Yeah.
I feel like, it is a great foundation, but when you see a bass player, like at my award show that we just did, we had Tala Wilkenfeld there,
that's
and
awesome.
she, like, the things she does with bass,
It's mind blowing.
So I really feel like bass, like,
it's such a fun instrument.
It's fun. It's creative. It's like,
she started playing in boarding school. I played
bass
choir.
for my church choir band. Yeah. It was me and all the teachers playing the instruments, and I was just like with my bass. And I was so little. I was always like this tiny little girl in school, and I had this huge bass guitar because I didn't want to sing in the choir anymore. Because I used to do it all the time, and I was like, I want to play bass. And they were like, okay. So I played in the church band. It was cool.
So what's your instrument? What bass do you use?
I have a Fender P bass. And she's named Salsa.
Her name is Salsa, and she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous.
She's named Salsa. That's awesome.
I love her.
She's one of your best friends.
But this might be the year. It's like when you get your first dog and you're just obsessed. I don't want to make her jealous. But this year I might get a couple more. I'm not sure.
So let's talk about your music because, I honestly wasn't familiar with you guys. And then when Ken shared your music with me, I was like, wow, your music is beautiful.
Thank you.
Cool, but it really seems to have resonated with people. So can you talk a little bit about, why do you think your music has resonated so much?
I think, when we started writing, we were teenagers and we've kind of grown up together through our music with the people that listen to our music. And it's such a pivotal time in a woman's life between the ages of 16 to 22. You go through a lot of different things. And so we write about how we feel. Yeah. And I think so many people can relate to that because so many people feel the same way, even though they have different experiences about everything.
Yeah. I got to grow up in a sense, at the studio and learn how it's crazy listening back to how we felt at that time.
I know.
It's
because now I'm like, calm down. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? I'm like, I was so heartbroken about something.
I have way bigger problems
but
now.
Then it is a big deal.
It is at the time. Everything's 16. You're so sensitive.
Right. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to recover?
Exactly. And that's we're so lucky because the studio that we record at, we have... So we can just kind of go whenever we want and record things. So whenever we're feeling some kind of way or whenever we have ideas, we always put it down. So we have this massive log of music. Yeah. And so it's really interesting listening to it back and being like, whoa, that's how we felt during this time. And so much has changed, but at the same time, it's still...
Our new album is going to be very interesting because it's just one of the most rewarding years. I think for us, it was one of the hardest years we went through. We were independent, making all of this content, making our own videos, doing everything. And we loved it.
It was so fun.
It was so fun. And for all of it to be wrapped up in the end in an album and people get to see it is the most rewarding feeling ever. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this time our album we're a little bit older and and we've gone through a lot. And I think it's just more relatable but also just more fun. Like we've experienced a lot more, but we've also experimented a lot more musically. So we've got a little bit of an electronic vibe. We have a song we recorded in a shower, Ex Machina. We have a lot of things that are just like, we're like, that's perfect. Let's put it out. You know, we just wanted to be experimental on this album. So it's different.
And we just wanted to have fun. Yeah. Honestly. And like, so much of this new album is so fun for us to perform live. And that's something that we weren't really thinking about before. But after being on tour and after playing so many shows and stuff, it becomes so important about how you're going to translate to it live and how the audience is going to feel. And because so many songs are so different when you listen to the recording of it compared to when you play it live. It's a completely different thing.
We've always been songwriters, but now we're learning how to produce. And so the music is now matching how we feel. Yeah. And we just get so excited when that happens. It's like the best feeling.
It's really awesome that you guys were able to have so much creative freedom. You know, I think because a lot of times artists will go down this path where, you know, once they reach a level of success, then they lose some control.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
we're incredibly lucky to be with Rock Mafia.
Yeah, we're lucky because the people that are our partners in this is Rock Mafia, and they really give us creative freedom.
We all have creative freedom to collab with each other.
What is
Rock Mafia? It's a production studio in Santa Monica in LA, and they have a bunch of other artists signed, like Elohim signed there, and so is Mero and Yoshi Flower. And it's basically like an artist development studio, but they also write a lot and produce a lot for other people. They did a bunch of Disney stuff. They're just phenomenally talented, but also they're kind of like our mentors in a sense.
Yeah. It's like an incubator kind of
it's like situation. A little, exactly. And it's just like our safe place, you know, because everyone there's like family and we
really started there. And then on this album, because we've grown up with the people we're making this album with, you know, now we can just invite them over and make a song, you know. It's like we've gotten so lucky to be there and get to grow up with all the other people that are at Rock Mafia, because now we're in a place where we can all support each other and help each other.
And that's what's going on right now. We're all on tour together.
And that is so cool because, you know, it feels great to help all those people that are deserving of help, but also like to feel like someone else has got your back. And,
100%.
You know, you're touring with people that you know aren't gonna, you know.
Yeah, and like
screw you.
Exactly. And as far as the creative freedom goes, for a long time we didn't really have any. You know, it was kind of like, this is what you have to do, and this is the kind of music that you have to make. And like we would write songs, and they'd be like, "This is too edgy." They're like, "This is too dark. This is too edgy," and we're like, "Well, this is kind of who we are, so we're not going to change that," you know. And so as soon as we got out of that situation and we just were left to our own vices, pretty much, we just
went crazy. I dyed my hair pink.
Exactly. And then we got to just write whatever we wanted, and there was no one telling us like, "No, this isn't your
that
vibe.
Song, but it's a little dark."
You know, like, and we're like, "But you don't know our vibe." Like, we're the ones who know
positive songs. It's a story,
right? You need the whole gamut. Otherwise, you're just like one dimensional.
Because that's not who we are as people. It's not always shiny and happy. It's the truth.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about this new album is it's just really like a look into us as people
we've gone through. And especially for me, there's like a very personal song for me that I went through a really hard time. I only had Ruby to get through that. So for it to be on the album and for us to like perform it live together, I go and sit with her when I perform it because I have to be with her, because I just like, it's cool like to have somebody like that.
Yeah. And what's the name of that song?
It's called Jackie Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's coming out
to hear it. So are the singles that you guys have been releasing, like the Sad Face song, are those from the album? Or are those?
Yeah, that's going to be on the
album.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple of singles.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out in the next couple of weeks that we're like really excited about. It's almost just insane how much we can't control our excitement for it, because
it's a completely different vibe for us. It's like
but it was so fun because we got to like work with the director and write the music video, and like we spent weeks on it, and it's just like such a little passion project for us. This one song is like really important to us just because it's something so different, and we wanted to make sure it was done right. Yeah. And that it just like portrayed who we were as artists. So
that one's called Waking Up the Neighbors.
Waking Up the Neighbors?
Yeah.
We call it Neighbors because it's like really long. But when you're reading it, it's not long.
So your album isn't out yet though, right?
No, it's not.
So what's the name of it? Do you guys have a name?
It's called The Virgin Suicides.
Really? Yeah. After the book?
Yeah, and a movie.
And the movie.
Inspired by.
I think there's just something about, we both grew up watching a lot of those cult films, and like that was just one of our favorite ones that we both gravitated towards. I think there's something about those girls that is just so mythical, and then they're gone. And to us, that's like the way life is. And that movie just makes you want to appreciate everything so much more. Yeah. And it also leaves you with this weird feeling. Yeah. And I don't know, it took us a long time to shake that feeling after watching that movie. And I loved that, and I loved what it stood for. And
that also just like encaptures like femininity in such a beautiful way, and especially youth in such a beautiful way. And then it's also just kind of like a harsh reminder that like nothing lasts forever. So you got to make the most of it.
When are you guys planning to put that out? Or you don't know yet?
We don't know yet.
By the end of the tour.
Yeah.
Right,
it's supposed to be coming out when we get back, but you never know with these things.
Yeah. All the songs we're playing on the tour. Off the new album.
So when you guys were writing for the album, like when you were actually creating the music, were you thinking about how you were going to perform it live while you were working on it?
Some things.
Some songs I'm like, oh, I don't know if that will work. And then they ended up working. It's always so weird. It's always like when you actually get there and you situate everything and you just start it and you're like, oh, this actually is really cool live. Like one of our favorite songs to play live is Ex Machina, which is one of the songs that we literally worked on for like 2 days. And then we decided to put it out.
When we were making it, we're like, there's nothing for us to play. Yeah. And then we like sat down and worked it out, and it's worked out perfectly, and it's one of our favorite songs now in the set. But I remember when we were making it, I was like, we have to add more keys. There's nothing for me to play. And then it actually worked out like perfect.
So we think about it sometimes, but then sometimes we'll make stuff and I'm like, how are we going to do this? But that's the fun part of it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And it's always so much fun.
I actually really love when you listen to, recording, you love it. But then when you go see the artist live and they have like a different approach to it live, like I think that's really, really cool, because then you feel like the live show is really special. You can't just put that track on and experience it. Like you're there in the moment with the artist. So
I mean, it's our favorite thing to do is to play shows. It makes all of the like everything else, all the noise in the background go away. It's so much fun. It's just like, and being on tour especially is just like really something that we look forward to all the time. And we're already like thinking about the next one. We're like, okay, we haven't even started. We haven't even started this tour, and we're like, when are we going on tour again?
But that's when you're kind of like, you feel like you're in the right direction, right?
Exactly.
Because you're so excited, you're energized by what you're doing, although it can be very exhausting.
Yeah, we'll see if I'll feel the same way by the time we're done with this one. You call me in 2 months and see how I feel.
The fact that like people are showing up is just like,
it's just crazy.
Something I'll never get used to. It's just a really crazy experience.
It's just such a wild thing to like, to know that someone feels the same way about something that we felt when we were writing it. Yeah. It's just, it's a very out of body. Stage is a weird
concept. If you like wipe that away though, you're like, there are people right out there that want to like say hi to me, and I get to go and say hi to them and like make them happy and like entertain them. Like that's such an crazy and cool experience to be able to like actually be able to connect with like people every night.
Yeah.
And do it together, and just like, I just like sit and hang out and like, hello.
I think it's really cool too when you feel like that your music has helped someone get through something difficult.
And that's really what really what it was for us.
That's why we love Wild Ones so
writing
much.
Music for us is therapeutic. Yeah. It's a way for us it's like a release. It's an emotional release. Whether or not these songs ever come out, that's how we deal with things, is to write about it.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's really cool when other people will listen to it and be like, oh, that made me think about this thing that happened to me and it helped me get through this, because everyone relates to it in a different way. You can take what you want from it, and it resonates with everyone differently. So it's really cool.
Have you found that your music resonates more with like young women, or is it more universal?
It's really
weird.
All over. Yeah. It's really all over, which is so cool, because like we weren't, everyone in business always talks about like, what's your target demographic and all of that. And I'm like, just people, we just want people to have fun and to feel
just write
anything.
About boys. So I feel like that's why everybody can relate.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, writing about emotion, like everyone has emotion.
Exactly.
You know, so
it'd be very concerning if you didn't, you know?
Some people admit it more than others.
Exactly.
So what have you found to be something surprising in your journey that you just didn't expect? Can you think of anything?
There's a lot of
maybe
things.
the whole thing, but
yeah.
I think just how everything, you know, I guess just to keep holding on, to like keep working hard, keep your head down. That's something I like really like learned this year, because it's just like so crazy that we worked so hard and now we get to put something out. It just blows my mind. It was a hard year and we got through it, and you know.
Yeah. I think something that's just surprising is the fact that like sometimes we look on like our Spotify for artists and like all of these things, and you can see like people from all over the world that are listening to it. And I'm like, that's crazy that there's like thousands of people in the Philippines listening to our music, or like people in Ghana listening to our music, or people in like Paris. That's just so nuts to me, because like I remember growing up, music was so inaccessible for me because I was in such a remote area. And so it's just so awesome now that like anyone can just go on the internet and listen to whatever they want. Yeah. And like somehow some little girl in the middle of wherever stumbled upon our music, and she's like, hey,
that was so sweet.
Yeah, I was walking at home in Kenya, and this tiny, she was like 9 years old, and she just like ran up to me and she was like, Bahari! And I was like, what? Wow. And I was like, yeah. And it was just so cool, because I'm just like, this little girl, you know, she's not in America, she's not in LA, and it's just so cool to see that someone can find our music and relate to it, even though you might think that you might not have anything in common with someone like that. But it's just so cool because you actually do, because you're human and everyone feels things, you know?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing that you can have an impact like that.
Yeah, it's really insane.
Well, probably not anywhere, because some countries restrict access, but in a lot of places.
Yeah, in a lot of places.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, you know, music's a universal language anyway, so it's really awesome.
Oh, this is so cool. Well, I'm so stoked to talk to you guys. So tell people how they can find out more about you, and you're touring right now.
Yeah.
I'll try to get this out quickly so people can go see you live.
Well, I mean, we have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of those good
Bahari?
things. Yes, at BAHARI. And then all of our tour dates are up there, and we'll always like talking about as soon as we know all of the dates for everything, we will make sure to let everyone know.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try to get to your show tomorrow night, because I really want to see you guys play.
Please do.
I mean, I would say even like someone like me, a lot older than you guys, I feel like your music resonates with me too. So,
amazing.
So kudos to you guys
so
for
much.
like really honing in on that special sauce.
Thank you. And thanks for
so
coming
much.
all the way out here in the cold. It's
know.
freezing.
Well, it's really great to meet you. And guys, check out Bahari, and you're going to love them. It's very, very cool. And hey, goodbye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.